look into your policy.
If they're not thinking into the future, tell me now, so if they're not thinking in the future, why are they not thinking into the future? What is that spark? Whether you call it a divine spark, what has left them? They're not thinking into the future. They're not thinking of the children and children's children. What is it? Why should it be the government?
It's the government because they control the way we behave, you and I. They do. You say, yes.
You say government controls the way the people behave.
Government is everything. You can't do without them. Now, I heard of some organizations, they run generator 24 hours. They run generator 24 and you expect the price of their goods or services to come down. It may not come down, except there is intense competition. It may not really come down, and they are polluting the environment. Government is not seeing that. Government is to collect its taxes and all sorts. They are not seeing it's not sustainable. They are not putting the triple bottom line together. The people, the environment, and the economy is affecting the economy really. So they have a way of controlling the way we behave. But if they calm down, put policies in place, it guides us. It controls us. Don't let me use the word control. It monitors our behavior.
Okay, let's talk about policy.
Our beliefs.
Let's look at Lagos State, for example. I mean, they have probably the best waste management outfit, Loma. Absolutely.
You don't expect something that's spoiled, that really decayed. Someone should just come overnight and just solve the problem.
How long should we wait for?
It takes time.
How long should we wait for?
It takes time to
we need those basic
build
things for the people. We need to go back to, let's say, to the schools, for example, talking about education. If I'm a teacher and I have kids under my care, and I'm looking at these kids on a sustainable basis, say, I look at these kids for the future. What do I teach them? Do I teach them to wait for the government's policies? Do I teach them to wait for the government's FPA code?
Who designed the curriculum? Who designed the curriculum?
Hold on a second. Do I teach them to wait for all those? Or do I say, from my experience, and this is a generational thing, even those before me say, look, this is the way things have been done. This is the right way of doing things. This is the way these kids should. I mean, do I wait for the government for my kids? Of course not. I teach my kids the right thing to do. Each of us has responsibilities.
It means you have your private secondary school or university owned by you. Because government still decides, still controls your curriculum. They still define the curriculum.
Let's assume government says, for example, let's say assume government says, and I'm hoping that we have 10 or 15-year-old kids watching this. The government says, whenever you go into the room, turn on the light. When you're leaving, leave that light on all day. How would that sound? Would they do it?
No, really. You see, I'm looking for the right words now to put into this. You see, it's like a RAM in a laptop. You understand? Without your RAM, without your processor, the laptop is just like a skeletal part, made of plastic, glass, or whatsoever. It defines your speed. It defines how you walk. It defines how you sleep, where you sleep, when you sleep.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Look, take for example the Third Mainland Bridge.
Okay.
So I was discussing. Just excuse me.
Just excuse me. Is very sluggish. Does it mean that the rest of the country is sluggish?
Just excuse me. I was telling a friend of mine. I said, look at the Third Mainland Bridge. That's why I don't really want to come to Lagos. Look at the Third Mainland Bridge. I said, I hope the live load on this bridge can carry us till for the useful life of this bridge for about 50 or 30 to 50 years. People go in the morning. The load is on this side. People coming back. The load is on the other side. I said, I hope one day this bridge is not just going to, just collapse like that. Now, if you have a right-thinking government, they're supposed to understudy this. What is the impact of all these activities on our people? You see, they need to start thinking of some futuristic things that these things are happening to our people. People go, the level of productivity will reduce. That's what defines that person. You see a staff gets to work as early as 5 a.m. and he sleeps all through. He's so tired because somebody has failed to realize that most of the companies, ministries, they are just on the island. Instead of them to decentralize it, even take some to as far as Songo, as far as Abule Egba, to, spread it so that people can be dispersed, so that you not really put too much pressure on the infrastructure on one part of the state. So it still boils down to people coming to think, people coming to be innovative, to be creative.
We started this program with the fire at a Kontagora building. I just want to go back to something you said about the government. Let me just go back to what a gentleman who's pleaded anonymity said. You don't need to be told that the generator was overloaded. He's kind of listening to this conversation thinking, you don't need to be told by the government that the generator was overloaded. Once you hear its sound, the oil section was also leaking, which showed it was due for servicing. This is not an engineer. Besides, locating a generator inside a complex like this is not safe. This is common practice. What does the government have to do with this?
You said common. If you don't know it, you don't know it. There's nothing you can do about it. That's knowledge for you. The government's supposed to know that there is impact of people's activities on the environment, on the built environment.
So we're going to have the government snooping around each building,
that
each private place.
That is their job, because they collect taxes for Christ's sake. That is their job.
So people will just be idle like a log of wood waiting for the government to come and tell them what to do.
Not really waiting for the government, but the government knows that any action, I learned in my basic physics that to every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. So the government is supposed to be thinking.
So if the government is not providing power, the people will get generators.
Sure.
And if the government is not saying...
And they pollute the environment.
No. The people shouldn't get generators because they should wait. No. They shouldn't be thinking.
No, they need... They will have to provide generators.
Why should they?
They
should wait for the government. Of course, that's what we're talking about today. They should wait for the government, for the policies that says we have to have light, wait for the policy, it will take 30 years, so we wait.
If the government has done its own something,
if they're going to get a generator, they get the right generator. If they're going to get petrol, they get the right petrol. If they're going to put it, they install it properly. They have to follow guidelines.
Who will give them the guidelines?
That's
what he's saying. Who will give them the guidelines?
So the government can provide guidelines and all those things. But remember, every generator that is produced, there's a manufacturer's guideline. That's nothing to do with the government.
But who gave permission for the generators to come in?
To come into the country.
So
the fake generators that are exploding
that we have
per second, who gave the permission for them to come in?
Well, now whether it's the government or whether it's NAFDAC or whoever has a responsibility for this, you as an individual, there are things you have to check. Yes, simple thing. Even the woman on the street, when she goes to buy Panadol, she will check for the NAFDAC number, correct?
Sure.
Okay? So she's aware that she shouldn't do certain things.
How did she know she should check for the NAFDAC number?
Maybe there was, so maybe there's...
There jingles on the TV, radio.
Who put out the jingles?
No, the government.
So what happens?
If the government fails to do all those things, you see, no man is an embodiment of knowledge. You don't know everything. That's why we read books, we do personal study, personal leadership, to want to improve ourselves. So if we have people in place, we have policies in place, standards, processes in place, that after this, you need to do this before you be able to get this. You understand? You follow all those things true and true. Maybe they have a ministry or I don't know by the government.
You talked earlier on about human development. And I'm sorry to use this example, but we have businesses, that were run successfully by individuals. And I'm happy to mention MK Abiola as an example. Very, looked up to him, successful business. He dies, and the business is dead. And there are many businesses like that. What's that got to do with the government?
You can trace it back, far back. There is a chain reaction. Nothing just the level of insecurity we have in this country today didn't just start today. It didn't just start yesterday. It was a failed responsibility by the government. That's where we are today. If somebody has played his role, you see, I'll still talk about in innovation. It's not just having being a professor or a doctor or being a fellow of an institute, and being a minister that is actually, is how you impact people, how you add value. How you add value, you impact people to solve problems, to improve our well-being, our state in this country. People are suffering because the government has really failed.
All right, we need to go. So your closing statement. You give your closing statement, your opening statement first. So let's begin with you. Closing statement.
Yeah, I still stand on my point that policies can define the value proposition. Policies can define the way we live, work, and play. It defines our well-being. It structures us. it makes us a better person. It improves our lives because everything that we do, it has, you know, it has an impact, either positively or negatively. And who can really help us? It's not that we want to give all our responsibilities to the government, but you know, we can't do much without them because the government has the funds, they have the capability.
Okay.
So these people need to wake up to their responsibility to help us move forward.
Thank you. Your closing statement.
Well, I'll go back to, again, the CEO of Customer Centricity. She said, people do not protect your assets. The right people protect your assets. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've had Olumide Aino, a facility manager. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, welcome.
And Chidi Umano, a management consultant. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.
Those of you at home that allowed us to be a part of your evening, we want to thank you. We'll end with this one tweet from AdCreate. AdCreate says, maintenance policy starts with government, driven by government, employed by people, and ends with government. Okay, some people might not agree with that. But let's end with that. Thank you so much, and have yourself a good night. I'm Neo Taigbe.